Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Hey guys, before we get started, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and welcome. I'm really appreciative that you have stopped by. Also, I am currently running, every Wednesday I do this, a Hump Day giveaway, but we are giving away a Devontae Smith Eagles jersey. What you need to do is head over to my Twitter, @Brodes81. There's a pinned tweet at the top of my profile. Follow me, retweet that tweet, and then follow my Brodes Media account as well. Everything is described in the tweet. All right? Thank you so much for stopping by. Enjoy the show. Get me to the playoffs. I cannot stand watching this basketball. Quite frankly, it pisses me off that this is what I witness right now because all I want to see is meaningful basketball. And I couldn't tell you the last time I was fully engaged because the game really meant something. It feels like it's been weeks. Honestly, it feels like it's been months. How many players were available for this squad on the other side? Seriously, was there anyone actually available for the Houston Rockets? The fact that to start the game, I'm watching Kelly Olynyk run up and down and bang with Joel Embiid, it's just laughable. It was going to be a beatdown. That's exactly what happened. The big takeaway from this game is nothing that happened on the floor. It's the fact that you continue to take strides to take advantage of that number one seed over the Brooklyn Nets. And that is absolutely going to be monstrous that you get to escape a Brooklyn Nets or I should say a Milwaukee Bucks second round playoff matchup because the Bucks scare me. They really do. There's something about Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis and the way that they can stretch out the big man and what can happen with the Sixers defensively. I'm truly concerned about that matchup. So the fact that you can escape that with the first seed is really huge. And let's just not pray because I think the Sixers team's pretty much in damn control. But let's fast forward here, please, so we don't have to watch this terrible basketball that the NBA is giving us at the moment. There really isn't too much to dive into, right? I'll just kind of hit you with some key points that I have with this game. Joel Embiid, his passes were on display. That was something that was very noticeable, getting open looks for his teammates. They weren't always cashed in, which you're going to make some, you're going to miss some. The fact that we know he's wired right now to try and get his teammates open looks because he knows he's going to get swarmed defensively, or the other team defensively is going to swarm him when the 76ers are on offense. So what he's trying to do is work himself out of that jam by passing the basketball around, and he had some really nice finds on the court. And yes, we should preface this by saying you're not going to be playing talent like this team, the Houston Rockets. I want to keep saying the Chicago Bulls for some reason, but the Rockets, you're not going to see this dreadful talent on the floor. You can only control what you can control, though. This is a game that they had to win. I've seen them fall against weaker opponents. A lot of teams, actually, in the NBA fall against weaker opponents. So it's clear that their mind is set properly. They know their goal. They know the goal is attainable, and it is very reachable. And some teams slip. Some teams fall. When they sense they're really close, it's easy to somewhat slide in the wrong direction. And in theory, there is time for that to happen. But we've stated this weeks ago, knowing what the Nets had to go up against and knowing what they were dealing with, while the Sixers had this easy schedule where they should roll through teams. It was set up for success for the Sixers. They just need to finish the job off and close the door, which I think they will. And you know, some teams do fall and do slip. I don't anticipate that happening, and that shows me the strengths of this team and how wired they really are and how prepared they really are for this moment, and knowing that heading into the playoffs, they are putting themselves in the best position possible. He got to the free throw line 16 times, knocked down 14 of those. They had to foul him nonstop. Early on, I think he settled a couple times and realized, all right, it's time to go to work. So he went down in the post. He did his face-up game, yada, yada, yada. We've said this 3,000 times. What he can do this season is so sensational. Face-up game, getting to the charity stripe, knocking down his free throws. He does this against the top of the league. I would expect to see him do this against a Kelly Olynyk team. Kelly Olynyk. 34 points for the big man. Matisse Thybulle, 3 steals, 3 blocks in 20 minutes of play. Also plus 24. So shocker, Matisse Thybulle is bringing you the defense. Picking off passes out by the perimeter. Easy points. Leads to easy points in transition. He's all over the damn map. And somebody brought this up to me, and I saw some Twitter wars going down. I think it's a very fascinating hypothetical. Is Matisse Thybulle technically a better defender than Ben Simmons? And I think he has a skill set that is flashier defensively, like the steals and the blocks. And I mean, Ben has outstanding perimeter blocks where you see his arm reach and you see the length that he can close out with. So you have seen it out of Ben Simmons. That's not to downplay that. I think highlight-wise, I think Matisse has something that pops more. But in terms of staying in front of guys and Ben being able to guard 1 through 5, I think Ben is the all-around better, more efficient defender all around in every defensive category and non-categorized things too. The eye test, the moving of the feet, all around guarding, and this is size plays a role too, but this is basketball. In what world does size not become a huge factor in how dominant you can be? Why was Shaquille O'Neal one of the best big men in the league? It's not because of his touch. It's not because of his finesse. It's because he was a very large human being, and that allowed him to be more of a force. Well, with Ben Simmons, his size and his length and the fact that his body frame is 6'10", that gives him the ability to guard point guards through centers that Matisse Thybulle can't do, and he does that at such a great level that I do think Ben is the all-around better defender, but you're still talking about great, phenomenal, and best defenders in the league. That's no knock on Matisse. I think Matisse, though, just has flashier moments, and maybe that's a product of he's a spark plug. He's an energy guy. He's a role guy, so sometimes that impact is a little bit more noticeable. I don't know. I mean, if he plays 35, 36, 37 minutes a game, he's probably going to have. He had 3 blocks and 3 steals. Would he have 6 blocks and 6 steals in 38 minutes? I mean, that just sounds outrageous, right? There's no way you can keep up that level of trajectory. So at what point is this just what he has, and this is what his stat line is? And if he did play 37, he would still finish with 3 blocks and 3 steals. And is the impact of that viewed the same? It's very interesting. That's what I'm saying. It's a very fascinating discussion. You can make the argument for both sides. My answer, though, is still Ben Simmons. And since Ben Simmons was brought up, I'll be 100% honest with you. It disgusts me that I watch Ben Simmons shoot jump shots in games like this. He had a couple jumpers, a couple fadeaways, and there's a video surfacing of him getting heckled and bothered and screamed out, "Shoot, Ben, shoot! Shoot the ball, Ben!" He's setting the screen up by the three-point line. He gets the ball back in the post area. He utilizes his body to bang low a bit, and then he hits a fadeaway jumper, and then he somewhat looks back and makes a facial expression to someone in the crowd, and it just tells you everything we kind of already know about Ben, but he needs that extra motivation. He needs something to force him to do things when the heat gets hot, or when the hot gets heat. Nope. When the heat gets hot, heat's always hot. When things get hot and there's people coming down on him and he feels the heat, maybe that's what I'm trying to say. That's when he somewhat elevates and tries to shut the people up and starts flexing hard. Me, personally, seeing him do this, it doesn't really satisfy me. And I don't want to hear that, well, it's the step in the right direction. Fine. If it satisfies you, I'm not saying it's not allowed to. Some will see this as a very positive sign, and it's a great step in the right direction. And of course, I will admit that it's better than seeing nothing. But, come on. We're talking about what year of Ben Simmons' career? 1 game against a beat-down team that stinks even when they're not beat down. In what universe is that going to be enough for me to now just start rah-rahing? All right, Ben needs to prove it. I said minimum of 15 games in a row of some sort of jump shot before I ever believe that this is anything serious. This means nothing. This does not translate at all to anything we are going to see in half-court sets when he has the basketball in his hands. He's not going to do post-up fadeaway jumpers. And you know what? If I'm wrong, and by the way, it needs to be more than just one. I'm talking legitimate in basketball rhythm, putting up actual shots where he's shooting the basketball. Not one in a 7-game series out of 7,000 possessions. I'm talking about being a professional basketball player and shooting the jump shot like a normal human being shoots a jump shot. Until I see that for 15 straight games, I am not going to believe anything that I see. This was a product of the environment. This was the product of playing trash. And like I said, if you personally feel like you can hold on to that and grab onto that and be excited that it's better than nothing, you are entitled to feel that way. I don't. I've seen him take threes. I've seen him take 50 games off before his next three. I've seen him take threes, and then I've seen him take 30 games off until his next three. I've seen him take jump shots here and there. It's just not enough for me. The pace that we're getting it at, and when I see it, it almost bothers me more. It really does. So, Ben, you decided to do that in this game, right? So, it just defines everything we've been screaming about. Why? Why do it then, make it, and it look good? Why do you not do it? And that's what it comes down to. Because you don't want to. That's the only reason. You don't want to. Because you can. Because we see it. We just don't see it enough. And that's the problem. I literally watched you do that. And I know based off of your body frame, based off of how you have the advantage, based off of a ton of mismatches, because you're Ben fucking Simmons, you can do it against better talent than this team. So it's not just a product of, well, he can only do it against bad teams. No, he can do this against better teams. It's Ben Simmons. He has the ability to, if he puts the mind to it. So I'm not jumping up for joy. I'm not clapping. I'm not fist pumping. And I'm not getting excited for any sort of jumper or fadeaway until it is for 15 straight games at the minimum. Then I will take that next step. Dwight Howard went 5 for 5, grabbed 3 offensive boards, got some glass, cleaning up on the glass. I think he finished with 8 total boards, double digits in points, 10 points in all. So kudos to him for just being a little bit of a veteran out there. Danny Green in the corner threes. This guy just excels to another level. And it keeps blowing my mind that everyone should be aware of what Danny Green does for this team and what he has done forever. It's pretty damn simple, but you can't stop him. He's so smooth. Good luck trying to stay involved in Danny Green's grill when he's exploding towards the three-point line and hanging out in the corner. He gets his spot, he shoots his shot, and it's so easy. It's a breeze. It's so cool for Danny Green. He'll miss his shots, don't get me wrong. But when he's on and when he's getting to their spot, I mean, he gets the ball wide open. How many times do we watch Danny Green, no matter who the opponent is, sit in the corner with 3 seconds to sit there and stare, and he gets that perfect form and he lets it fly? It's Danny Green. It's Danny Green. Do you really need a reminder on what Danny Green does? He's not extremely versatile offensively. He's got one grade A thing that he does offensively. It's shoot the damn basketball from 3. I just can't comprehend how many teams actually give him time and space, and they lose him that frequently. But it's the power of Joel. It's the power of Ben. It's the power of Tobias. It's the power of Seth Curry. It's the power of how this team plays basketball right now and how confident they are and how they utilize the floor. And you got to send help with Joel Embiid. So when you help him, guess what? That's going to give you time to pass the basketball around and finally find that open shooter. And if you can find Danny Green wide open, yeah, you're doing something right. The defense was spotty at times. I think that's just because of playing this team. As much as you want to say that it doesn't happen, it does happen when you play an opponent like this. There's going to be some uglier moments. There's going to be some times where maybe you're not giving maximum effort and you somewhat glide through. And you saw some possessions and some moments where you were gliding through. I thought specifically in the first half, it really stood out more where they were just unwilling to compete on that end. And I think that really is because when they walk out on the court, we're going to dominate this game. We're going to win this game. And they're not wrong, but it took a little bit of time for them to somewhat establish that. It took them some time to kind of come together and make it work and make it actually happen. So, but they eventually did. Mike Scott, the fact that Mike Scott is now playing in garbage time, we finally made one proper move to the bench. I am so insanely invested in learning about this bench because I think the way that Doc Rivers handles this bench and Ben Simmons and his flaws, so those are two different things, right? Doc Rivers and the bench and Ben Simmons' flaws. Those are the two on top of, there's other things too, right? Like Joel Embiid's dominance and him continuing his MVP form in the playoffs against teams that actually have a lot of talent that's going to make it a living hell for you. So that is clearly one as well. Then that's up there. So I'm not going to lie to you. That's up there. So maybe there's three now that I'm just spitballing and speaking out loud. Joel Embiid's dominance and continuing the MVP form is in the mix. Doc Rivers and the use of the bench and the rotations, and Ben Simmons and his flaws and his inability to shoot a basketball, how that affects teams defending this five-man unit. So those are the three things I'm looking at. But Doc Rivers specifically, what is this bench going to be about? Mike Scott being a garbage guy type of player, it's fitting, it's needed. That's where he is now in his career. The last 2 years in Philadelphia has somewhat been abysmal and unplayable. Injuries have played a role for sure. I don't think injuries are playing a role now. I think he's just shot, not confident, never really found his game, and from there it just somewhat went off the rails and went out of control, and he never was able to somewhat catch a break and find his rhythm again. So Mike Scott being in garbage time, big. Shake Milton, 23 minutes. He took 17 shots in 23 minutes, had 19 points. He has been playing better as of late. Does that work himself back into the rotation? Maybe. Furkan Korkmaz being out, I think, adds another layer to this. Doc liked Shake, and I think my gut feel tells me Doc is going to rock as many bench pieces as possible, and it's going to drive me nuts. So I question if Shake was ever going to play in the playoffs, but Doc never questioned that. I think Doc truly looks at George Hill, Dwight Howard, Matisse Thybulle, Shake Milton, and Furkan Korkmaz, all of them as legit options to play, and that scares me. That concerns me. I don't know how that's going to fit. I don't know what Doc Rivers is going to do. I really don't, but I'm starting to get a migraine just trying to process it because I think he's going to overdo it. He's going to feel obligated to play some of these players, and that could possibly cost this team's run and how far they can really go. Shake Milton has been playing better late, and I think George Hill's acquisition is exactly what we anticipated it being. You know, you grab that veteran. He's a savvy guy. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. He's a professional, and it allows Shake Milton to establish a role. We didn't know what Shake Milton's role was. Oh, sixth man of the year, primary ball handler number 2. That's not really looking as smooth as we thought. It's not that clean transition that we thought it would possibly be, and then he really got lost mentally. He got into a huge funk. Lost is an understatement out there, throwing up 0 for games, 0 for 6, turnovers galore. Talk about sloppy play. Can't handle the rock. I think he was forcing too much. I need to get my team involved. I got to slow down the second unit. So if I'm trying to picture myself slowing down the second unit, I'm forcing passes. I'm trying to fit the ball in smaller area windows, and that was resulting in turnovers and the other team going the other way, and you just got to make smarter decisions. Shake Milton was never really capable of doing that this year. George Hill allows Shake Milton to kind of find who Shake Milton needs to be on this team. I'm not sucked in completely that Shake Milton is back or Shake Milton is a reliable piece. I have concerns. I haven't seen him be a spectacular player for enough time for my liking. And keep in mind, now I can throw out there who they're playing. They're not going up against lethal talent. So, you know, that's in there too. What is Shake Milton? What is Dwight Howard? What is Matisse Thybulle? What is or what are their roles? What is going to happen with those players? How many minutes are they going to play? And is Joel and Ben and Tobias going to be spaced out where their minutes are overlapping one another so you constantly have an important piece to your team on the floor? To me, it's a no-brainer. We shouldn't even be having this discussion. Unfortunately, we are having this discussion. Here's a nice, interesting stat for you. The Sixers had the best record in the East for 104 of 134 days so far this season. I saw that on the broadcast, and it just shows you what type of team the Sixers squad has been throughout the season. There's been ups and downs. There's been some tough moments. There's been some injury moments. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons not being on the floor and going through a 4-game losing streak or so pretty damn recently. There was that miserable stretch somewhere in the middle of the season where your bench was putrid. I'm talking possibly even worse than what we saw the other night where they blew that 20-plus lead and had to have the starters in, because it intensified by multiple games, and it was like a few weeks of just trash basketball from your bench. The difference was longevity, but during those moments of the season, it was tough, no doubt. All right, before we get to some text messages, if you are looking to get your loved one, your significant other, or your family member some jewelry, head to DeSimone Jewelers in Haddonfield, New Jersey. They used to be in Jewelers Row. Now they're in Haddonfield, New Jersey. They're a family-owned business with over 40-plus years of experience. I constantly go to them, and I'll never go to another jeweler in my life. I guarantee you that you will have the best experience by heading over to DeSimone Jewelers. I went to them for my fiance's engagement ring, and the diamond that I got for the price that I got, it is outstanding, and you should have saw the face on my fiance. She was stunned with pure joy. I went back for a necklace for the holidays. I went back for earrings for her birthday. You name it. I went to DeSimone Jewelers, and I will continue for the rest of my life, and you need to as well. They treat you like family. They don't use sale tactics. They show you options, and they educate you. And because they manufacture every ring they make from start to finish on location, you should see their setup. It's phenomenal. They're able to beat competitors' prices. I've also sent friends and family in their direction. I get the same response every time. Brodes, they're amazing. And I tell them, I know. I tried telling you. Make sure you check out their information. It's all down below in the description. All right, so a couple text messages here to get to. So we'll start here. Ken says, how are you taking in these last few games? It's getting tough for me. And I agree with you. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Every time you see an opponent on the schedule, you know it's going to be bad. And then before the game begins, you see Keith Pompey or some of the beat reporters, the guys from The Athletic, Derek Bodner, Rich Hoffman, who do a fantastic job. Well, the Bulls are going to be missing Levine. The Bulls are going to be missing whoever else they were missing, Vucevic. And then you see, man, I always want to say the Bulls. The Houston Rockets are missing X amount of players. They're only dressing this and that. Every time you see it, you know it's going to be one of those games where there's not a lot. There's really not a lot in there, and it's somewhat background noise, I hate to admit it, but these last few games for me have been, I say unwatchable, but I watch them. I'm obviously not going to not watch them. I watch all of these teams all the time, every game. But the level of investment is strictly not there because you know they're going to blow them out. I say this all the time. The regular season in the NBA, at some point you know the identity of the team, and then it's get me to the postseason. We know everything we need to know about this team now. There's still question in terms of are they going to apply that to the postseason, but when it comes to regular season basketball, there's nothing that will change your mind if you're a logical human being on what this team is. No win, no loss against any team left on the table. The Pelicans, the Pistons, the Magic, it doesn't matter. These games, in terms of learning anything about your players and your roster, won't tell you a thing. So can we please get on with it? And that's the way I feel, and I don't think I'm an outlier. I'm talking to a lot of people who cover the team, cover other teams in this city, media members, just in general. Just talking to them about the Eagles draft, and then the Sixers comes up, and the Phillies come up, and just going for like a pure 4-for-4 type of conversation with some people in the city. And it's like, man, I've been checked out for a little bit. I'm just waiting for that first round. I'm right there with everybody. It's hard. So how am I taking it in? I'm taking it in, but this is the lowest it's been for sure. And that's a good thing. It really is. I know that sounds crazy and it feels odd, but it's a good thing because it tells me that this team is ready to compete. It tells me that you have a championship caliber roster. If you're a team that's still focused on all these games and still heavily invested, you're probably a middle of the pack team. You're probably a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th seed that's still really worried about certain situations playing out, and there's some adversity being hit where when you feel this way about a regular season, it means you're ready to go. It means your team is solid. It means your team is stacked. It means your team's prepared. So it's a good thing that we feel this way. I guess that's how I'm taking it in. Jordan wants to know, do you think, or I should say Brodes, do you think Maxey gets playoff minutes? I don't. I know Doc keeps saying that you never know and he should always be prepared, and he does give you this unique versatility in there. I just don't think he's ready. And if you're trying to force George Hill, Dwight Howard, Matisse Thybulle, Shake Milton, when is Tyrese Maxey going to ever get play? If there's a first-round playoff game where the Sixers are up 30 against the Knicks and you slide Tyrese in there just to get some experience, but you have maybe some other guys out there on the floor to make sure it doesn't tumble in the wrong direction, maybe those are the type of moments. But if we're talking serious action and we're talking third quarter, 4-point game, it's hard for me to envision that. Tyrese has clearly improved. You've seen it in a lot of different areas. Sometimes in the three-point game, he goes through stretches of seeing solid play. In the catch-and-shoot game, you see less hesitation. Something with Tobias Harris we've seen is the quick decisions and knowing what to do with the ball. I think you're seeing that with Shake too. The growth in that area, did I say Shake? I meant Tyrese Maxey. You're seeing that out of Tyrese Maxey as well. You're seeing it. Just more of a long-term project. I'm not ruling it out if there is a big lead in a first-round series. And I'm not saying that it's an all-bench lineup type of vibe, probably with some other guys involved to make sure it doesn't get terrible. But I don't think if we're talking serious play that Tyrese Maxey is going to get some minutes. That's my personal opinion. But at the same time, everything is on the table with Doc Rivers and the bench. And the last one here from Smitty. It pisses me off watching Ben shoot in games like this. Why? Why? LOL. That was the text message that came in from Smitty. And by the way, I just realized now because I wrote them down and I did not write where they're from. Because normally when you text in, it'll be like Ken from wherever they're from. I don't want to say a wrong town and not be them. Like Jordan from wherever, and then you send the text message so I can apply the name to the text messages. And you can text into the Anytime hotline, by the way. The phone number that people normally call, 856-442-9805. It's also a text message line. So sometimes I like to switch it up once in a blue moon. Normally I like to take a lot of calls, but sometimes I like to switch it up, throw some text messages in there. So I'm with you, Smitty. You know, I'm with you. I'm right there with you. I get annoyed and frustrated and bothered as well, and I just laugh. I really do. I laugh internally because it cracks me up that that's the position we're in. Before we head out of here, DraftKings is giving you a phenomenal deal. The hits literally keep on coming. From one boxing event to the next, they grow in excitement and anticipation. And this weekend is no different with two of the sport's most respected fighters stepping into the ring Saturday night. To celebrate this weekend's huge event, DraftKings Sportsbook is offering new users the opportunity to get 55-1 odds on either main event fighter to win this weekend's fight. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up. For a limited time, all new users can bet $1 to win $55 on this weekend's main event. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is going all out for new users by offering them the chance to win $55 when placing a bet of $1 on this weekend's big fight. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Back-to-back coming up on Friday and Saturday. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time.